Okay, good. Just pressing F1 and starting the stream doesn't kill Oblivion. That's good to know. We are now live, everybody, and welcome back to the Storytime Network, where we are once again just chatting. This time I'll be playing Oblivion, because, again, this is a game I've been playing since it came out in, what was it, 2008?
Something like that.
In the ancient times.
Yeah.
Before times.
I've played this game many a time, and I also know how to cheat viciously with it, so...
Which, to be fair, is not something that the game makes hard.
Yeah.
No.
I'm sure, depending on what mods you're using, the game can make other things hard, but, Can we talk about, like, the Elder Scrolls modding community for a second?
Go for it.
That is a miracle. There is no reason these games should still have as much an active modding community as it does.
And yet,
Makes
somehow they do.
No freaking sense.
Yeah, it's pretty wild, honestly.
Literally does not compute.
Honestly, good for them.
Yeah, people are still actively making and developing new mods for Skyrim. There's probably more people making mods for Skyrim than there are, like, new people playing Skyrim.
To be fair, like, Skyrim is, like, the latest Elder Scrolls game.
Yeah! For the last decade and a half. Yes. That
It
doesn't
came out in 2008? What?
I don't know if that is correct, but it sounds correct.
I wouldn't be surprised. You know how Todd Howard is. He just, he'll stop making new stuff in favor of just making more, ports of Elder Scrolls. Skyrim.
You like yourself, huh? Roomy enough for you?
The worst part of that is that it's not even necessarily inaccurate.
No, it's not.
No more sunshine, no more open seas, just a box.
You're gonna
Just,
keep
like,
talking.
I just wish
Bet you're glad
that other games
Oh,
got some of that modding love.
no one ever leaves
I'm saying?
There are a lot of games that deserve more modding love.
Right?
Skyrim, I think it's just like people have been playing it for so long, they've just gotten bored of playing it vanilla and just modded it to hell and back.
It's not even really the issue. The issue is that the game inherently, what are the properties it possesses that make it so lasting? I feel like that is the secret to cracking it. I think part of it might be ease of use.
Never mind.
Perhaps.
It's like, I
It's
feel
easy to
that,
jump in.
yeah, I feel that that's one of those things that,
Over by the window. Stay out of the way and you
and
won't
also,
get
like, because there's so much modding support, it's kind of like a vicious cycle. Like, I wouldn't call it a vicious cycle, but I sure as hell am not about to call it a virtuous cycle either.
Let me see your face.
There's nothing virtuous about Skyrim beyond its popularity. And its accessibility, probably. I don't know.
I don't know. I enjoyed Skyrim for what I got out of it. Like a very, again, just a game I could play very blithely without actually having to think about much. Like, it really wasn't that. You know, it's not a game that I play for the story necessarily. It's a game I play to just be able to be a fucking sneaking dick who shoots people from behind, as I will in this game once I get the chance.
Yeah,
that's fair.
First, folks, Mill really likes being a dick that takes people from behind.
You're lucky I like you. Otherwise you'd be dead already.
Oh my.
Like, you kind of walked right into that one, Mel.
I'm just gonna rabbit punch the Emperor, by the way.
Donkey punch, donkey punch, donkey punch.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, let's talk about something really important. Nails. So, have you ever had that moment where you accidentally give yourself the reverse, finger?
Oh, hangnails? Yeah, those are awful.
No, that's not what I mean.
Oh?
Like, do you ever, like, when you're clipping your nails, you're kind of just not paying too much attention to it, and so you accidentally miss a finger?
Oh. Yeah, that's happened to me a couple times.
And then you're just like, why? And then you just, like, do something that requires, your hands, and you're just like, why is this weirdly uncomfortable? And then you look at your hands and realize, oh, I just, like, have a single nail that is longer than all the others.
I actually had a different problem recently where I cut one of my nails because it'd gotten like cut into and I had to clip it like ASAP.
First of all, that's
It didn't get to
horrifying
the
just
quick.
to hear about.
It didn't cut to the quick or anything. It's just like there was a big chunk of the nail that got caught in something, so I had to just.
That's more common though, because that's the finger. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
I don't
But
know.
yeah,
At least that's what the internet tells me. Of course, I have no experience in this regard, one way or another, so I have no idea if there's any truth to this. But apparently, that is the general meme, is that you if you want to have like long decorated nails, you leave one nail clipped for, you know, certain purposes
Mm-hmm.
that
Yeah.
I'm sure you can.
Into it, yes.
Yes.
Yes, but no, I clipped the nail because it was caught in something and needed to be clipped. And then I didn't clip any of the other nails because they were already they weren't too long on their own. But
And then
when
they
I
get
clipped
mismatched, yeah.
I clipped the rest, and it was like, okay, this one is a little bit longer, but it's not worth clipping right now.
And then you kind of just
and
end up
so
in
the
this
cycle
situation.
goes.
Yes, believe me, I've sometimes done that intentionally.
Mm.
Again, not for the reasons that people with social lives do it. More so just that sometimes it's convenient to have one nail shorter than the others.
Mm. That is true.
I just like
Yeah.
nails are one of those really squicky part of the body for like.
They can easily become very squicky, yes.
No, for like body horror purposes.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh,
Right, like
nails,
eyes and
nail
nails.
stuff. Nail stuff is like one of the few things that will actually get me to freak out now.
Yeah,
Like,
nail stuff and
most-
eye stuff and tooth stuff.
Oh. Like finger stuff also, and just anything with the neck as well.
Right. I've had some
Neck is
very
like-
I don't know when this started, but I like not. So here's the thing. I don't mind the blunt force trauma to the neck, like the strangling
Yeah.
and the
Strangling or
snapping
throat
the
punching,
neck.
those are fine.
Snapping the neck is fine, but like when you twist it all the way around, or when you like slice into it, and it's just like,
Oh yeah, no, like
ugh,
any
no,
puncture wounds
no.
on the neck are just like disturbing to me.
Yeah. What do you think it is like about?
I think it's just like involuntary instincts because the neck is one of the most delicate parts of your body.
Yeah, you'd think we'd have like more armor there, evolutionarily speaking. I
Oh,
wonder
that was
sometimes humans are not biologically unsuited to having, like, some form of natural armor. Right? Like, it's not... that's not something completely out of the question, so I'm very curious as to why we never really, like, developed that, evolutionarily
Mm,
speaking. Like, armadillos, right?
yeah,
Armadillos are still pretty flexible. Right? Like, it wouldn't affect our flexibility, it wouldn't really affect our ability to swim. So why don't humans just have, like, some bone, like, exterior bone plates on sensitive bits?
because we didn't evolve with them.
But why didn't we?
Wasn't anywhere near us in the evolutionary chain.
I don't know about that.
Honestly, we do. There is a genetic mutation that does cause you to grow bone armor, but it also causes it to grow out of control and replace damaged
Yeah,
tissue, and it
that's...
is one of the most horrifying diseases ever.
No, that... I know, I'm aware of that. That's... But I'm like... I feel like this is something we should explore now that we have the technology.
We can rebuild him. We have the technology.
We can rebuild humanity. Not that we necessarily should. But you know the thing about scientists and the word should.
Mm-hmm.
I rarely think about that stuff.
They rarely do, yeah.
As Ian Malcolm said, you know, too busy thinking about whether you could, and not enough time thinking about whether you should.
So for the longest time, I thought that Ian Malcolm was the guy who started the project. Like, the dude with the hat was Ian Malcolm, and I just referred to Jeff Goldblum's character as Jeff Goldblum's character. Because here's the thing: my only context for Jurassic Park as a series was my childhood viewing of the movies, and also the fact that Jeff Goldblum was a major character. So I just heard the name Ian Malcolm a lot, and I just assumed it was the guy with the hat, and that Jeff Goldblum was just Jeff Goldblum.
Mm.
I'm sure you can see where my confusion came in.
Yeah.
Jeff Goldblum does have a tendency to steal the show.
Mm-hmm. He's great.
No, Jeff Goldblum is wonderful.
Not cancelled, is he?
I don't
just
think he
Nope.
is.
Nope.
Oh god, I just...
No, I get it. I'm always nervous about it. About, oh god, please tell me this person, this celebrity I like, hasn't done something to get canceled.
On a lighter note, however, I have gained... The more I read, in general, the more I gain an appreciation for Terry Pratchett.
Yeah, I finished Good Omens the other day, and
Booker... Booker movie, or Booker TV show.
book. That one's a classic.
I mean, Terry Pratchett and Neil Gaiman, I still don't know how to pronounce his name.
Gaiman.
Oh, Gaiman.
Okay, Terry Pratchett and Neil Gaiman are probably two of the... They are they are in one of the most delicate, or, well, in the case of Pratchett, was, sadly, in one of the most delicate and rare portions of the Venn diagram. Of a certain Venn diagram. It's depressing how rare it is, relatively speaking, but such is the way of things.
What Venn diagram?
The Venn diagram of people who are both good, creative individuals and also decent human beings.
Yeah.
That's depressingly narrow.
Yep.
intersection. And Terry Pratchett was basically a cool dude till the day he died.
Hmm.
And Neil Gaiman has repeatedly shown himself to be like a good dude.
I mean,
And I hope to God he doesn't
the funny
end
thing,
up.
the funny thing about Neil Gaiman is that for a long time, my only exposure to him was via that one Simpsons episode where he guest starred.
Was a dick?
But like the whole idea of him was that he wasn't actually a very good author and just stole other people's work. And so for the longest time, I had this opinion of him that he actually wasn't that good.
See, that's your problem. You base your opinion off The Simpsons.
Yes, you really like should have occurred to you that perhaps the satirized version of him was not true to life.
As I said, I had no other experience with him, so I just didn't really know, like, how else to feel about him.
I mean, my first exposure to him was through The Sandman, which is one of the greatest comic book series of all time.
American Gods for me. Which is not my favorite of his works.
No, my favorite is still The Sandman, but
No, Sandman
I
is
will
absolutely his magnum opus, and unless you count Good Omens, in which case it's a very difficult.
Good Omens is cheating because it's also Terry Pratchett contributing.
Yeah, it's like
to it.
when you get two of the greatest authors of our time to co-write a book. It's just like, well, of course.
Well, that's just not fair.
Right? Like, God, leave some talent for the rest of us. Yeah. It's how do you have you all read has everyone read American Gods?
I still haven't actually read any Gaiman stuff, I don't think. I do have it.
Really?
Yeah, I do
Start
have
with
it.
Sandman.
Okay.
Do not start with American Gods.
I'd say if you want to do it with a standalone, your best starting place would be Neverwhere.
I've heard that's good.
Neverwhere is a very good standalone book. It's one of my favorite standalones, honestly. Yeah.
I have read the plot summary for American Gods, though, so because I needed to do it for an assignment.
Interesting.
Because it's
American Gods is not my favorite because it's a bit too realistically adult for me.
Well, the point is that because the work I was talking about was urban fiction, I needed to talk about popular urban fiction urban fantasy books, and American Gods is pretty high up there.
It's definitely one of the urban fantasies of all time.
It is very well regarded by quite a few people, and I am kind of annoyed that I haven't gotten around to reading it yet. It's just,
I mean,
I have so many books I'm trying to read, and American Gods, while I've heard great things about it, is just, I don't know how well I'll vibe with it.
Yeah,
it's one of those things where it's definitely one of those things where it is a critical masterpiece. I don't read for the purpose of reading critical masterpieces.
I mean,
I read for pleasure.
Yeah. The other interesting thing about it was that it's one of the few urban fantasies that I know of that took from multiple mythologies rather than just one.
That is also true of Sandman.
Sandman is its own transcendental property that I feel has many.
It is quite transcendent, isn't it? Yeah, honestly, if you're going to read a comic book series, The Sandman is one of the best to go with. It's fairly independent, too. There's only a little bit of DC lore in there, like, towards the beginning, and that's about it.
Yeah. So, It should be noted that Alan Moore is not someone I include on that Venn diagram because he's just very ambiguous as to his state as a person.
Yeah, he does. It's kind of hard to get a beat on that guy.
I'm pretty sure he's said or done something questionable.
Probably.
Just
I
that
don't know.
sort of dude.
He has that vibe.
Yeah, that's the best way.
He's also on the record as having liked precisely one of the many adaptations of his work. Namely,
Well,
the
Stephen
Justice
King.
League episode for The Man Who Has Everything.
Wasn't Stephen King's thing also that the only one he ever liked was the one that changed the ending to be even more depressing?
The Mist, yes.
Yes.
Yes, but in Alan Moore's case, For the Man Who Has Everything was actually like one of the single best episodes in the DCAU.
It's also like probably one of the better comic book like arcs or like standalone like
Stories.
little thingies. Yeah.
Comic book issues, yeah.
It's legitimately very good, and like I will never deny that Alan Moore is a very talented man.
Yes, he is talented. Can't deny
Yeah.
that. It's not a denial of a person's talent. It's generally more of a denial of, oh, hey, this person doesn't seem like a great person. Sometimes.
I don't even know if he's a bad person. I just think he's like
He's very aloof.
no. It's more his has a very specific look. I'm gonna come right here and say it. Be a bit culty at times.
I mean, he does look like Rasputin.
He does like look
Rasputin.
like Rasputin.
Rah, rah, Rasputin, lover of the Russian queen. Alright, that song is always stuck in my head whenever he comes up. Damn you, Bonnie M.
The thing is, I spent my childhood like I grew up listening to Bonnie M. Hell, my first ever theater production that I was in, and actually, I say first, it was the only theater production I've ever been in. Was I was a backup singer for an elementary school play, and our soundtrack was entirely Bonnie M.
Huh.
Oh, dope. That's fun.
I did have to learn how to sing a few of those songs. I sung them badly, and I will never claim myself to be a singer. So,
Oh, that's fair.
yeah, I was like a little child in the background, so it was fine. It was also the time when I realized that theater was not for me.
Mm.
Oh, that's fair.
Oh, well, no, that was not the. There was one other time. I did also in elementary school do an narrate an adaptation of The Little Mermaid.
Oh, how'd that go?
About as well as you'd expect.
No, I
Sounds
was
like you had a fun time.
Yeah, I was always, pretty clear that theater was not for me.
I never got into theater, but I was in marching band in high school.
You have my condolences.
I had a fun time, honestly.
You still have my condolences.
Mm.
Thanks, I guess.
I mean, I honestly would probably be closer to a jock than the two of you, because I was more into sports.
I was in sports all the way through high school.
Meanwhile, I managed to, due to certain circumstances, get out of ever having gym class.
Good for you, honestly.
Yeah, I'm kind of just like a potato,
Mm.
and I'm happy with that.
I mean, for my GCSEs, I actually so I took physical education for one of my GCSEs because I was actually relatively fit at the time.
Hmm.
Fit in terms of actual fitness, not appearance, but
I don't think any of us were British enough to realize that that was even a word that you use for
all right.
describing appearance. Is that a word you use for describing appearance? Fit?
Yeah.
Huh. Seems like it might be one of the lesser known Britishisms because I've never heard that before.
But yeah, so like because I got a back injury when I in my GCSE year, it meant that I didn't actually
Oh
have
boy.
to do the physical part of the qualification.
That seems like a.
I mean, I took the pluses from the back injury where I could.
No, I mean that like. I don't know that that would be that's worth the trade-off, but I mean, since it wasn't exactly in your control, I mean,
Yeah,
I guess that's a right side of the situation.
yeah. But yeah, it meant I probably got a better grade than I would if I actually had to do the actual physical effort.
Physical
But
component.
yeah, probably. I don't know. Maybe I would have done better, but no way of really knowing unless I did it again, which was never gonna do that.
Oops, I
I
did it again. Nope.
course. Okay, so I
You know, you
have
like, I'm
a
still gonna live.
I have a confession to make. I do have a recurring series of nightmares. Have I talked about this before?
Maybe.
You have not.
I have a
Wait, maybe.
recurring. Well, I have a recurring series of nightmares where I, due to a clerical error, have to go back to high school.
Oh no.
Except I'm still an old ass man,
Mm.
as I am now. And I'm just like, it is. You know that feeling you get when you watch something that's hardcore secondhand embarrassment?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Imagine that, but you're living it.
Oh no.
Yeah, it's like they are nightmares, yes, for very obvious reasons, but like it's hell whenever I end up in those dreams. And because I'm mostly a lucid dreamer, I'm aware that I'm in the dream, but like I usually can't change channels
Mm.
when I'm in that particular dream, so I'm kind of just like,
Oh, that's
please
rough,
just let
buddy.
this end. Yeah.
The only set of recurring nightmares that I've had were or is once again based in my high school, trapped in there during the zombie apocalypse.
Oh, I have once had a similar set of zombie apocalypse dreams. At one point, I think it was my brother got infected, and I was racing for the cure before the dream series ended.
I've never had a dream that's like that, really. Most of my dreams are what I like to term as so because I tend to lucid dream quite a lot, and I have a decent amount of control over the dreams. After a certain point, I like a switch flips for me, and it's just like, oh, wait a second, I no longer have to fear any consequences in this dream. And do you know what that ends up doing? That ends up making some interesting fodder for stories. Because my favorite trope, well, it's probably not my favorite trope, but possibly it's definitely up there on my list of favorite tropes of all time, is the almighty janitor.
Mm.
That is a fun trope.
Just have this fondness for the almighty janitor trope, and it's just it becomes surprisingly easy to construct an almighty janitor story out of a lot of the lucid dreaming scenarios.
That is fun. Did I ever tell you guys about that one time I had a very whack-ass fever dream?
No, but you have to now.
I think I
don't remember the details. All I remember is that it was very fantastical and involved a lot of monsters or some shit. But basically, by the way, this involves me talking about a particularly nasty sickness. So if you don't want me to go into detail, just say so.
Maybe just skim.
I
like,
won't
over the
talk
gross
about
parts.
the details of
Yes,
that.
yes.
But anyways, I got a nasty case of food poisoning at one point.
Out both
and
ends.
I was out bowling with friends. And then I was like, "Oh damn!" Something just came over me all of a sudden while I was before I went to the lanes, and I just ran to the bathroom. The stall was occupied, so I just looked for something and found a trash can, and immediately just got really, really sick. And so I was like, took a minute to recover from that, washed my hands, walked out, and then immediately got sick in another trash can. And it was just like very bad time for me. One of my friends drove me home to my apartment. I was in college at the time, and I was just not having a good time. I had the window open and everything, and was just trying to keep some water down. I got back, cleaned up, went to sleep, and I spent the entire rest of the night in and out of a fever dream while waking up every half an hour or so to retch. Could barely keep any.
That does not sound fun at all.
Yeah, it was not fun. I barely got any proper sleep. I was asleep for like 20, 30 minutes at a time before my body woke me up to eject any water I managed to keep down beforehand.
Oops.
Overall, not a fun time. Yeah, next day I was like just feeling so awful, but it was the weekend, so I was just like, fuck it, I'm just gonna rest this whole day. I'm not gonna do fucking anything. Because otherwise I'll just be in hell. Yeah, it's overall just not a fun time.
Yeah, being sick sucks.
It really does.
Shocking, I know.
Yeah.
That is probably the most sick I've ever gotten outside of the time I almost died from chickenpox as a child.
I was not even aware that was a thing that could happen.
Well, it wasn't the chickenpox itself that almost killed me, it was the fever.
Yeah, now that makes more sense. Yeah,
I believe 107 degrees Fahrenheit.
Oof.
Which, if it gets like a degree or two higher than that, it's fatal.
Yeah.
That was free at the time.
I don't think I told the story on stream, but I probably have told you guys. I was born technically dead.
Oh wow.
So here's how the story goes. So have I not told the story of my birth before?
Nope.
Don't think so.
Okay, so it's quite an interesting story. What ended up happening is that I believe I was not necessarily early, but not necessarily late. But I think my mom was starting to get like sick, and like there were like some complications. So they were like, "Okay, we're gonna see if we can induce labor." And then they tried, and were like, "Oh, it seems we can't induce labor. That's somewhat worrying." So they checked it out. Turned out I was being a little jerk, and decided to swallow amniotic fluid, and I was choking on it.
Ooh.
Oh, that's fun.
So they had to do a C-section. They were gonna do a C-section anyway. But what ended up happening is I was not breathing, and it was like basically functionally, if not legally, dead. And so what ended up happening is they kind of just, like, the entire surgical team kind of scrambled to try and save me, and left my mom still cut open on the operating table.
Oh,
It was
lovely.
that urgent of a situation. And so for a second there, it was touch and go. And apparently there was and it might have been me or my mom, to a certain extent. And I did not breathe for the first 18 minutes of my life.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
18 minutes sounds bad.
Yeah, so apparently 3 more minutes and they would have given up and declared me dead.
Oof.
Yeah, I was turning blue and everything.
Ugh.
Honestly, they probably would have given up earlier if you weren't a baby.
Yeah, actually, yeah, that's true. Not only that, but also the power of nepotism.
Nepotism
Like,
does tend to hurt. Does tend to help, sorry.
Well, it hurts when it's not you who's receiving the nepotism, but it definitely helps when you are the recipient of the nepotism. But yeah, basically, my dad was still a practicing doctor at the time, and he had a lot of colleagues who were on the team.
Yep, that'll do it.
They were like, "Oh, we gotta pull out all the stops here."
Yeah, see, my mom had to get both me and my brother C-section for very different reasons. In my case, it was because my head was too big.
That is one of the most common reasons, funnily enough.
Yeah, I was a very heavy baby, too. I was like 10 pounds, 13 ounces. Which is...
That's, like...
on the bigger side.
Yeah, that's definitely a big old baby.
Yep. My brother, on the other hand, was a different kind of dick and turned fucking sideways in the womb.
You know, every conversation I've had with your brother does not means that does not really surprise me. He does seem like the type.
He has a mischievous jackass.
I've noticed, yes. So, yeah, that's like... God, 2 C-sections.
I mean, don't they, like, recommend that if you had a C-section the first time, you should have one the second time?
Generally, yes, but
yes,
my
like,
brother
at the same
turning
time,
sideways...
I'm just like...
Made it a necessity, yeah.
Sideways,
made it
kind of made it a necessity.
Yeah.
No, but, like, if I was in the position to have a C-section, that might be enough to just make me not want any more kids. Granted, I feel like, again, I don't think any of us can really speak to that with any sort of reliability unless medical science advances greatly more than it has up till now. But, yeah, I just, like... That's a hell of a thing.
Yep. Thank goodness for modern medicine, am I right?
Yep. Apparently my birth was quite easy, so...
Oh, I bet your mom was rather happy with that.
Yeah. Especially compared to my brother, where it was apparently very difficult, and she was not looking forward to it with me, and then it went well, so...
That's nice.
Now the real question is... If, and I'm saying if, you found yourself in a bit of an Arnold Schwarzenegger Jr. situation.
Oh boy.
What would your course of action be?
That is a very broad and difficult question.
I don't understand said question.
If you are a Mr. Seahorse.
Oh.
Yes, it is definitely one of those questions that you don't really think about until you do. Then you curse your brain for ever bringing it up.
Hmm.
That sounds like a you problem, Fuzzy. I'm sorry.
As
I
most,
never said it wasn't.
as quite a few of Fuzzy's problems are.
Yes.
Quite a few? I'd say all of my problems are mostly are you problems. I have a hard time thinking of a fuzzy problem that's not a me problem. Well,
I'm sure you can think of one or two.
we'll talk about that later. That said, I am curious. Do you ever find yourself in a situation where you kind of like dissociate and then forget who you are?
No.
Again, I think that's more of a you problem for the time being.
I was hoping you would not say that, but
Mm,
Sorry, Fuzzy,
How-
we can't really relate to that particular one.
yeah.
how about that latest Jujutsu Kaisen chapter, huh?
Okay, just just kidding.
No, but like this is the first time we've seen Fushigoro's sister in person, isn't it?
Yes.
Like
Yes.
conscious.
Outside of Flash.
Outside of flashbacks, yeah. And
It's
I
like-
need to see where they go from what happens in the chapter, because there's a lot of stuff in there.
Yeah, there's just like a lot of things happening that I am not necessarily okay with, but like I can live with it for now. Another thing that I was curious about is, have you ever thought of what your stand type magic power would be, whether it's like just a stand outright or a specific curse technique, or like any in any magic system that has a power tailored to the individual? What do you think yours would be? Have you ever given that some thought?
I have, actually. I feel like if I could choose any one power, and not like the super broken, overpowered ones like reality warping, for instance. Like, say reality warping's off the table. I
As
would
it
go with
should
either
be, yes.
I'd go with either telekinesis or teleportation.
No, no. Here's the thing. I'm not talking about what you would want. I'm talking about what you think would represent, what power you think would represent you most as a person.
Telekinesis.
Why?
Because I am both the type who likes being able to do multiple things, likes multitasking quite a bit, and also I like being able to do things without having to get up.
Okay, that's a very relatable, honestly, reason for telekinesis. Have you thought about it, Mel?
No, off the top of my head. Like, how, like, fantastical do we have to be? Like, is there a certain standard of fantastical that we have to reach with this? Or, because my first thought is honestly just going without sleep.
That
Without,
Is-
without, you know, going crazy.
That is definitely a power. I don't know if I would necessarily say that is,
A good one? One I should aspire for?
Yeah. I don't think it's one you should aspire to, but at the same time, I think you could. I'm sure you could manage something, but like it's definitely for me. I know what mine would be,
Oh,
and I'm proud to say that it both makes perfect sense for my personality and is kind of busted depending on how I use it. Mimicry. Either that or some sort of shapeshifting, because like as an autistic person, I have spent most of my life masking. And most of my masking has been learned through mimicry, right? I've gotten very good at, I had to get very good at mimicking, these, neurotypical behaviors, and as a result, that is kind of representative of who I am at this point in my life.
Not to interrupt the talk, but I've just killed like 4 dudes outside of a castle and got the castle.
nice.
So,
That's good. Always, good to give him what for, and all that. I'm totally understand what's going on. But I'm actually I've been reading a story recently that does get into a very interesting analysis of why a lot of fantasy stories remain stuck in this medieval setting for thousands of years. We talked about this before, right? Where I was upset that so many fantasy stories are like, well, it's still it's still a medieval setting, despite the fact that this civilization has existed for tens of thousands of years.
mm.
And how
Yeah,
that just does
no,
not make sense anthropologically speaking.
no. Technology advances unless there's someone actively sabotaging the development thereof.
Yeah.
Like I've seen stories where there is absolutely someone sabotaging
Yes.
technological development.
Yeah, and the one I saw was a Janja story that gave an argument for a natural way it could happen even without active sabotage. Which is, in the... So, okay. You know how in Cradle, everyone has the capacity to cultivate?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's actually quite uncommon as far as Janja stories go.
Huh, interesting.
In the vast majority of Janja stories, there's like a vast population of mortals who are kind of just like
There.
regular dudes, yeah. Well, no, they're not just there. They exist to do... They're basically little better than serfs.
Oh, lovely.
And what ends up happening in those stories is mortals essentially live a life that is identical to the lives lived by people in feudal China. And, you know, feudal wherever, but generally feudal China because those genre stories originate from China. And so the thing is, what ends up happening in those stories is that the cultivator organization that owns the territory they're on just sends people to test the children regularly. And they just take the children that are capable of cultivating. And this
That sounds completely normal.
Well, I mean, it's like if... In thinking about it in Western terms, if not everyone can be a wizard, but wizards are capable of becoming godlike, then I'm sure most parents would be willing to send their children if they had the chance to magic school.
Yeah, that would not be surprising.
So really, it's not nearly as kidnappy as it sounds, because it's like, it's just a pragmatic decision in many ways as well. But yeah, the idea put forward by that story, why would you need to develop a better way of defending yourself, like better weapons, when the cultivators can just shoot lightning from their hands? Why would you need a better way to build roads when cultivators can just flatten the earth with a wave of their hands? The idea is that in a world with what is essentially living gods in the form of wizards or cultivators or whatever you call them, that are commonly known and at the top of the power structure, it becomes a mindset issue. It's not even an issue of intelligence or determination.
Yeah.
It becomes an issue of, but I was not chosen by the heavens. I was not one of the chosen ones who can become a god.
Yeah.
And so,
I mean,
why should I bother?
Yeah. Isn't that sort of what MHA goes with? Like, I think at
Well,
one
part
point...
of the reason for the technological stagnation in MHA is because the emergence of quarks caused a lot of disasters that set technology back.
This is like the 2200s, because All for One kind of did send the world into a stone age.
Not a Stone Age per se,
Well,
but he did kind of fuck up technology quite a bit.
He's a dick like that. Yeah.
He is. But that's beside.
He's a chuny dick too.
Yeah.
He outright says that he is aiming to become the Demon Lord.
He's basically he read too many isekai like novels. You know what? He probably read Overlord. He was probably an Overlord fan.
He was probably a
not be
Shield
surprised,
Hero
honestly.
fan.
He was absolutely a
I wouldn't
Shield
go
Hero
that far.
No, he was 100%. He was probably a redo of Healer fan.
Okay, that's going too far.
Going too far for
Dad,
All
why
for
are
One?
you defending All for One?
He's All for One!
You know what? Fair.
Absolutely is not going too far. But yeah, because in the timeline, how different do you think the world would have been if All for One had, been a reader of One Piece instead of isekai-like novels?
Very different. Very fucking different.
Right? God, can you imagine a world where... So I've been thinking about this a lot. And we all know what happens when I think about something a lot.
Nothing good can come of it.
I do sincerely believe that any sort of utopia does require a benevolent dictator. Higher power sort of deal.
Interesting hypothesis.
Because I think a lot of problems in human society do come from the fact that we live in a society, as the meme goes. But, it does come from the fact that humans are, at their core, self-interested, not necessarily exclusively for their own self, but for what they perceive as their tribe or their group or their herd or pack or whatever you call it.
Mm-hmm.
And as a result, the existence of a truly equitable society, at its core, requires an individual who is capable of both seeing society equitably and also has the enough personal power and awareness to manage the entire thing at once.
So a benevolent dictator would probably not get a lot of sleep.
It would have to be a superhuman. Like I said, it would have to be a higher power of some sort. A human beings inherently do not. At least this is probably one of the most controversial things I'm ever going to say, but it's general enough. I do not believe that human beings, as we currently are in our evolution, are capable of achieving a truly equitable society.
I can't say I fully agree with you on that. But at the same time, we have a long way to go as a society to get anywhere close to true equity.
We don't even like need to hit true equity. Like, I don't believe we're going to hit even like a facsimile of equity in our lifetime.
I mean, we might, but it would likely not be bloodless getting there.
Well, that's the thing, is that as much as I think a revolution, some sort of revolution would be necessary, I don't think that would solve things.
No, it wouldn't, but that's not what I mean.
But
I don't mean revolution. I mean, like, people will still suffer along the way.
Okay, yes. Yeah, because it's like, I won't deny that human society is better than it was before. Like, I'm not that
It
kind of
absolutely
doer.
is, yeah. I mean,
Yeah, no,
that's
I'm not I'm not like that cynical.
Yeah.
I absolutely acknowledge that where we are now is basically better than. I can't think of a time in history when that would possibly be better.
Yeah.
Except maybe there were certain isolated ancient societies that were pretty like egalitarian. But like they also didn't have indoor plumbing necessarily, or antibiotics. So
You win some, you lose some.
Yeah, it's really a toss-up, isn't it? And like I think one of the issues there is like it's a population issue, isn't it? It's just not as easy to create an egalitarian or equitable society with the sheer numbers that humanity has grown to. It's possible.
It's possible. It's just extremely difficult.
But like, the path of least resistance, I feel, should be a fundamental law of nature. It doesn't just apply to electric current. It does also apply to human beings. A lot of times, the path of least resistance leaves a lot of people high and dry.
Yes, people will take the easy way out 9 times out of 10.
Again, because, like, that's generally the optimal decision from a self or tribal perspective.
No, that's completely correct. Which is unfortunate.
We just haven't been able to keep up with population growth.
Right?
Like, we all talk about how our brains haven't really evolved, but I think like the biggest issue is just the numbers, like scale. The human brain is very good at a lot of things, but scaling up seems to not be one of them.
You know that quote from that famous philosopher, Joseph Stalin, that, look, he's not a good person, but the quote is relevant. A single death is a tragedy, a million is a statistic.
Yeah! That is really what it comes down to. Like, research has shown that,
people have a harder time empathizing with large-scale death if they don't have, like, some degree of familiarity.
Large-scale anything. Like, familiarity breeds compassion, right? Like, that's a saying, isn't it? Familiarity breeds compassion?
I mean,
that's
the thing.
It was the inverse.
Yeah.
Huh?
I mean...
I thought the quote was, familiarity breeds contempt.
I mean, they're not mutually exclusive.
True.
But
Two sides of the same coin, right?
But yeah, I mean, that's the thing. Anti-war sentiments, grew massively in the 19th century once, reports of what was actually happening started coming back to
the information age
country. And
yeah,
look what happened with Vietnam.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
That was the first war that got, reported on, I think as it was happening.
Yeah.
And, like, the American populace was suddenly horrified at what the fuck was going on.
Also,
Yep.
America is still convinced they won that war.
Really?
I'm pretty sure it is categorically the only war that America has definitively lost. I'm not counting. No, we definitely did not win Vietnam.
What
It
about
is literally
but, like, a lot of
several
people would beg to differ. I'm not one
several
of them,
books
but
I
you-
read said it is the only war that America definitely lost.
I'd argue you've lost more wars, but, I can't think of many off the top of my head.
So the wars that America has participated in, off the top of my head, are Revolutionary War. If you want to count when it was still colonial and not an independent country, there's also the 7 Years' War / French and Indian War, but I'll not go into that one. But Revolutionary War, War of
Probably won that one.
1812.
War of
War
1812
of 1812
barely counts because you'll see that as like this big victory. Meanwhile, we didn't really give a shit. We were more concerned with Napoleon.
It was more of a
Also-
draw.
Also, it is one of the greatest prides of Canadian history because we did burn down the White House.
That you did, yes.
We actually still celebrate that to this day.
That's funny. Yeah, War of 1812, Mexican-American War. I don't know if there are any wars in between those two. Don't recall off the top of my head. Then there was the Civil War.
Technically, you won and lost that.
See, I was on the side that definitely won, or at least my
Ancestors were.
I live in the states that won.
Yeah.
Some people in the South do not take their loss very well still, even though they weren't alive for the war. Funny enough.
Let's
Yeah,
not get too deep into the
Yeah.
way the people in the South feel.
Moving on. Then there was the Spanish-American War in the late 19th century, which we won and established ourselves on the world stage by doing. Then there was World War I and World War II. Then there was the Korean War,
Did
Vietnam.
you win the Korean War?
Yeah, we won the Korean War.
I
goal of the Korean
feel
War
like
was-
North and South Korea beg to differ.
I believe the U.S.'s strategic goal in the Korean War was just to keep North Korea from conquering South Korea. I could be wrong.
In that case, that wasn't a war.
That's
Winning
what
wasn't
they're
even like a
claiming. That's what they're claiming. There is no
Bear in
chance in hell
mind-
that was actually their goal.
Bear in mind, Mill is the only historian among us, and this is kind of like
True.
right in his.
Look, I'm
Right in
not
its
an
zone.
expert on American history, but there is no fucking way America went into the Korean War going, yeah, we're just here to protect South Korea from North Korea. That's definitely what we're doing here. No, they were there to conquer the whole of Korea for their capitalist gains. There's no fucking way that they just
Oh no,
went
I
in there
totally
to-
believe
yeah.
that. Yeah.
I would
They
not
are,
be surprised.
they are just saying that to save face.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there was that, Vietnam, the Gulf War, then there was Iraq and Afghanistan, which
You didn't
I believe
win.
Afghanistan was not a victory. No.
I don't think you've won since World War II. Then, if you count Korea.
No,
as
we
a
won
loss.
the Gulf War very decisively.
Did you? Okay.
That was
you
like the biggest curb stomp we've done.
That's not something to be proud of, Jack.
Yeah.
I'm not laughing because I'm proud. I'm laughing because it's kind of horrifying.
Ah, yes, the old laugh, so you don't.
The nervous laughter. Yeah.
Yes.
It was very one-sided.
I mean, are we also counting all the proxy wars you guys engaged in?
No, I am specifically referring to wars that the U.S. sent its own combatants into.
Yeah, if we count the proxy wars, then we won't have enough time across like 3 streams.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's one, I can't remember the exact name of it, but the US and Soviet Union were obviously on opposing sides over some shitty little piece of land in, I think, Africa. And then suddenly, for some reason, you guys switched which sides you were supporting.
I don't even remember that. Cold War is just full of proxy war bullshit.
Cold War is an absolute fucking mess. That I studied a Cold War module, and it is just so dense. There is so much shit to go through. People can barely even decide, like, when it started.
The tentative start date, I believe, is basically right after World War II ended.
Nope, there were tensions between the US and Russia going to the late 19th century.
Fucking hell. Oh, it was because of Alaska.
Possibly. I can't remember the exact one. I think there was also some hard feelings over recession I think the US caused.
I would not be surprised.
It was definitely a recession in, like, the late 19th century that affected America, and yeah, I don't think Russia were happy about it. Russia at that point was kind of, like, really struggling economically, to the point where they actually called a couple of world conferences to basically go, hey, you know all this new military technology you guys are developing? Maybe we should ban it because it's dangerous, and definitely not because we can't afford to make it ourselves. And therefore, when war does break out, because it was becoming pretty much an inevitability at that point, we are going to be seriously screwed, as the Russians were.
Mm-hmm.
So,
What do you think about Russia, actually?
Getting off this minefield of a topic, by the way.
No, this is
okay.
history. I'm good at history.
History's fun to talk about.
Yeah.
So this is
Middle.
interesting, but there is something I need to remind everyone of.
Which is?
What?
For a lot of people, history isn't about history, if you know what I'm saying.
What, like, it's... I don't get what you're saying.
Yeah, sorry, I'm kind of lost here.
Well, you know how a lot of people in the American South are still convinced that the Civil War is ongoing.
Those people are
in
fucking
other
morons.
ways. Yes, and I'm saying there's a lot of morons out there.
There are.
True. But,
A
going back to Russia,
depressingly large amount, yeah.
Phil,
Yeah.
how well versed are you in Russian history?
When I was doing my A-levels, I did, do, Russian history from, I think, about 100-year period, covering the last few Tsars. I don't remember a massive amount. What I do remember is mostly, Looney Tunes antics. Why?
Just because I've seen so much about talk about how Putin is like trying to reclaim the glory of Russia, and it's like Russia hasn't really been.
No, Russia has not been glorious. That's the point. Russia.
Yeah.
Like
Russia, you can only really argue it was ever really at the height of its quote-unquote glory under maybe Peter the Great and Catherine the Great. Maybe. And even then.
Like, the glorious times of, like, oh, we held off Hitler's invasion and we held off Napoleon's invasions. Yeah, they drove so deep into your territory, they got stuck there when winter came, and they didn't prepare for it because they're idiots.
You didn't defeat those guys. The weather did.
I mean, you know,
Yeah,
they still
a
had
lot
to
of Russia's wars, didn't it?
Yeah, they still had to do their part, obviously, and, you know, can't take away from the bravery of the actual soldiers on the ground who, you know, in many of these occasions were the ones dying for the leaders' shitty tactical nous, but yeah, they didn't.
Yep.
I've done Napoleon's invasion into Russia. Napoleon was a fucking moron for it.
Which is funny because Napoleon is supposedly a brilliant tactician.
He was kind. I don't want to. I've not done Napoleon in enough detail to like.
I did say supposedly, Fuzzy.
Yeah, to go into it in like sufficient. To go into the kind of detail that I would consider I would actually have to for a university level essay. But my understanding of the French tactics were mostly they were based around numbers and marching a big column of men into people.
Sounds about right.
And honestly, like, Napoleon was pretty good at strategy at first, but as the wars went on, and I think he's became iller and more addicted to drugs, he sort of lost it.
That would explain his tactical nosedive.
Yeah, and once the Russian invasion failed, that was pretty much it. I mean, by that point, the British were starting to really make ground in the Iberian Peninsula as well. Because, like, the commanders that Napoleon left there, fucking terrible. And Wellington was, as much as he was, I'm fairly sure, not a great person, as very few nobles of that time were, he was a very good tactician.
Yep.
But more than that, apparently the French were quite flighty and the English were quite stout in the fact that the English tended not to break as early as the French did. Again, I'm basing this off of an essay I did for this in A-levels, which is now, oh boy, a while ago. So, and
Insert
obviously...
Matt Damon aging meme here.
Yeah, and because it was... I mean, the point of the essay was that it was just to prove that I could write the essay more than the actual content. So I was not as analytical as I would have had to be in a normal essay. So, again, I could be wrong, but that was my impression of things anyway.
Speaking of insert Matt Damon aging face.
Hold on. Okay.
No, go on, Jack. What were you saying?
I was gonna say, like, did you know there is actually one famous historical general who does not have a single recorded loss to his name? You want to take a guess as to who it is?
John Wick.
He's not a military commander.
No, but he is the Baba Yaga.
And technically he did lose. He lost his dog, which pissed him off.
Look, can we... You could have said anything else. Why'd you have to...
Bill chose violence today.
I've not watched the John Wick films, so, like...
But yeah, the only well-known military general who is completely undefeated in battle, at least known record, Alexander the Great. Never lost a battle.
Okay.
He has 20 recorded battles, and none of them are losses.
The thing is, I always am a bit leery of historical records that go that far back.
No, that's fair.
History is written by the victor and all that.
Yeah. I have no doubt that he won a lot.
He went to create an empire if he didn't.
He did also kind of defeat himself.
Well, yeah, he was allegedly poisoned.
What about Genghis Khan?
Or that he drank himself to death.
Yeah, what about Genghis Khan?
It could have been food poisoning as well.
Let me look at Genghis Khan's battle record, but I'm pretty sure Genghis Khan had suffered a few early losses.
Very possible. I'm just trying to think of, big names. Genghis Khan is
Napoleon
always...
had several famous losses to his name.
Oh yeah, no, Napoleon lost a lot. I mean, the big one, which is Wellington. No,
Mhm.
Waterloo, not Wellington. Ugh. Tired.
I was gonna say, I'm like, if you're gonna say the big one for Napoleon, how is it not Waterloo?
Yeah, it's Waterloo. My bad. Not thinking.
Yeah.
I'm too busy looting shit.
Yeah. Okay, I'm just gonna look up a generalized list of military records. Battle. Years.
But yeah, just to lend context to my earlier Looney Tunes remarks, for the whatchamacallit, coronation of a Tsar, I think it might have been Nicholas the First, I want to say, or maybe it was Alexander the First, one of those two. There was a lot of unrest because there was a bit of a succession crisis, and so a group of basically rebels planned to basically take over during the coronation. They did not get as many numbers as they hoped, and so they just sort of stood there, like waiting for the numbers that they wanted to come. And eventually, Nicholas was like, or the Tsar was like, okay, so what should we do about this? Okay, let's cavalry charge them. Now the issue was, this was, in Russia, fairly sure during the winter, on cobblestones. Do you wanna figure out how that went for the horses?
Yeah.
Not
Doesn't sound
great.
like a good idea, does
Yeah,
it?
it took one volley of gunfire, and that cavalry retreated. Because they would just... As I said, it was a Looney Tune.
Honestly, it's a miracle that enough of them survived to retreat in the first place.
Yeah, then it got...
That a retreat was even possible.
Yeah, then it got less funny, because then they started firing grape shot. But, I'll take my Looney Tunes where I can get them. I mean, there's also... in the midst of all the bloodshed and chaos of post-colonial Africa, there were a couple of funny moments. Like when, what country was it? I think it was the Congo, which was, severely fucked up by Belgium. They had a president and a prime minister. The president tried to dismiss the prime minister, and the prime minister tried to dismiss the president. Which, went about as well as you would imagine.
Yeah, that does seem like it. That's exactly how that would go.
Yeah, and then I think one of them got the support of the Americans, and the other was executed. So, less funny ending. As I said, you gotta take the amusement where you can in a lot of this history, because a lot of it is just kind of bad.
It's very much one of those things where you have to laugh so you don't cry.
Yeah, take the good and take the bad. Take them both and they have the facts of life.
It's... I just feel sad now. Because,
The top 5 most victorious generals in history are Napoleon Bonaparte, the Duke of Wellington, Khalid ibn al-Walid, Julius Caesar, and Alexander the Great. I'm not surprised Caesar made the cut, honestly.
Who the heck is the Duke of Wellington?
I imagine the one who fought Napoleon.
I think Fuzzy was japing. At least I hope he was.
No, I know nothing about recent history.
We were just talking about him.
No,
He's the
I
guy
know.
who beat Napoleon.
Yeah.
No, but like, what did he do other than that?
He retook Portugal and Spain from the French, as well as probably some other stuff.
Okay, I didn't even know that was a thing that happened.
Yeah, like, Britain was staying out of Napoleon's way because basically they knew that obviously, you know, the French would have to come across the sea to invade Britain, and Britain was like,
And-
yeah, that's not happening.
England had a fantastic fucking navy, but not a
Yeah.
great army at the time.
Yeah, we really didn't. We had a kind of a shitty army, and that's why it was such a miracle that we actually managed to win.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
I mean, Napoleon shot himself in the foot by, invading Russia.
oh no, he did, but you know, it's very likely that Britain still would have at least made it into France without that invasion. And the point was that the Russians gained Napoleon's ire because they refused to stop trading with the British. But yeah, like, the British, the only reason Britain got involved in the war is with Napoleon is because he was a fucking idiot and, well, he got tired of, he was invading, let me try and remember what it was. I think he was invading Portugal, and he got really fucking tired of the Spanish's incompetence, and so he basically deposed the Spanish king, which, you know, set the Spanish off on him. And then we sort of went, maybe there's an opportunity for us in here. And we started getting involved. I mean, we wanted Napoleon gone as well anyway, because, you know, the French being ascendant does not sit well with our British sensibilities.
Yeah, there's like kind of a whole thing between the British and the French, huh?
But yeah, I mean, the point is that, like, there was, what was it? When Prussia, I think, was the, one of the few countries still actually, holding or fighting against Napoleon, they asked for our help and asked for us to attack, I think it was the northern, Dutch coastline, to try and basically distract the French. We did not do that. We attacked a place that would suit our tactical needs more. We also did it incredibly late, so that by the time we actually did it, the Prussians had been defeated. So that was like one goal for that down, and then we fucked the entire thing up. We attacked a series of islands called Valcheren. And
yeah, I feel like there's a lot of jokes to be made here.
And basically we got because it was where the French Navy were, or a large chunk of the French Navy were anchored, and so we were trying to destroy that to really make sure the French weren't going to be able to set sail and invade us. We took too long taking the initial position, so that the French Navy got basically barricaded. We then sat there for several weeks while our army just basically started getting sicker and sicker, and we ended up losing like a good, or at least like, I want to say like 80% of our troops got ill and either had to leave or died.
Oh, dang.
Yeah. And eventually we just, you know, ran with our tails tucked between our legs.
You know, that honestly, whatever works at that point. Anyway, I hope everyone's enjoyed our history segment of the podcast.
Mm-hmm. How long have we been going, by the way?
We've been going like an hour. Hour 24.
Wow, okay. It's felt longer. In a good way.
Is that a good thing or a bad thing?
No, in a good way.
Mm-hmm.
There is one thing I've wanted to do for a while. And at this point, it's really why I made the channel and named it what I did, is I kind of just want us to tell stories. At some point. I feel like it would be interesting if we were able to, like... What I was actually thinking is... And it's like, it doesn't really matter if I say this on stream or off stream. It's whatever. I was gonna see if I could reach out to a few, like, authors of some of the better web novels and be like, hey, can we get permission to just kind of do an MST3A, like, is it Mystery Science Theater 3K sort of thing where we read along and kind of just talk about it as we go. Something I've been wanting to do for a while is essentially audiobook with color commentary. Would you guys feel amenable to that?
It could be neat.
When you said tell stories, I just thought you would, like, meant, like, stories from our past.
Oh, no, I meant, like... Well, I'm not gonna say that stories from our past aren't interesting, because we have told a few interesting stories from our past. But, like, I was talking more, like, written works, right? Like... Because, like, my initial idea was a proto-VTuber sort of idea. Because before the VTubers really, like, took off, and now we've already hit saturation, but the idea was to tell adaptations of, like, old fairy tales in all of their gory detail and riff on them with a modified old man voice.
Yeah, I think I remember you telling me about that.
I made a, like, demo reel for it, where it was like a minute-long demo reel for it, but, like, I've realized that I do not have the skills personally to do live voice modification, and I have no idea. I'd be willing to hire someone to, like, make me or modify an existing program for me that would allow me to mod my voice into Grandpa Storytime on the spot. Sadly, this is not possible. Well, it is possible, I just don't know how I do it. It's funny, right? When there's times when you are willing to pay people, but those people are just not advertising themselves well enough, or they're not visible enough for you to actually pay them. It's like the worst of both worlds.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like if I abandon the gimmick and we just, like, riff on a story, we'd have to get permission, obviously, from a lot of them.
Yeah, we couldn't be too mean about it either.
I don't think we'd have to be mean about it, but I do think we would have license to critique.
We should. We would try to be we would try not to be, dicks when we were when we were ripping off stuff.
I think it would depend on, how the author themselves felt about that work, because, obviously...
Well, some authors do have old shames.
Yeah.
We could also, like, ask how, like, scathing we could be to the authors themselves.
Yeah. That's the point, that's when we would ask.
Yeah, and so... But I do think, like, constructive critique and just, I think if we joked about the tropes... their presence rather than the works themselves would be interesting. I don't know, it seems like something fun to do, and there's a lot of good stories out there that I feel like could use exposure. And it'd be like I think we could make it symbiotic rather than parasitic.
We could.
Or rather,
Possible.
mutualistic rather than parasitic, if we want to use the... Because I learned recently, apparently, symbiotic is a much more general term,
Yes.
biologically speaking, than Spider-Man would have you believe. Also, yes, also, the word that Spider-Man uses for it is wrong.
How so? They're parasites, right?
Well, no, they're... Apparently, symbiote is not a word. The word for that they think that what that word means is symbiont.
Ah.
Yeah, like that's the actual term, but apparently, but I guess Jack Kirby or Stan Lee, I forget which one did Venom. Was it Stan Lee or Jack Kirby that did Venom, or was that later on?
I don't know which one created Venom or if it was someone else, but they are the co-creators of Spider-Man.
Yeah, they made Spider-Man, but I don't know if they made Venom.
Nah.
Anyway, something to look up. But yeah, apparently both parasitism,
Parasitism.
yes, that, and mutualism technically fall under the umbrella of symbiosis. It's you know. So yeah, that's a thing.
Hmm.
We wouldn't even have to necessarily do voices as long as we just took turns reading. Yeah, we could like try and do tone. I'm probably not the best at it because like apparently, do I still speak in monotone or has my voice become more expressive?
I think it's become a bit more expressive.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, because like, generally I have two modes, monotone and excited. I don't really have any other modes of voice. But yeah, it also seems like a fun one. You know what, Mill? I'm sure if you're willing to get in touch with the authors, we could read. There's fanfiction we could read as well.
Oh boy.
Are you sure you want to go down that rabbit hole, Fuzzy?
Look, I'm not saying it's all degenerates. But there is a lot of but there's a market for degenerates. That's all I'm saying.
There is.
I mean, if you wanna like really toe the line, could read toned down bad erotica and make fun of it.
We could read My Immortal.
No.
No.
The speed at which you shut that down.
For two reasons. One, it's terrible, and two, it's Harry Potter.
You know what? Fair.
Those two things, incidentally, have a lot of overlap.
Mm. Oh, just as an aside, if we haven't already said it, we're not playing Hogwarts Legacy at all, let alone on the channel.
Yeah, no, I've never really been a hardcore fan of Harry Potter to begin with, so I was never.
I'm gonna say it right here. If you want to play Hogwarts Legacy, pirate it.
Yeah.
We advocate sailing the high seas. The case of Hogwarts
I'm gonna
Legacy.
be king of the pirates.
There's a lot of works that I feel perfectly comfortable pirating, and anything Harry Potter is now in that list.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, if you absolutely have to play the game, like you physically will die if you don't play the game, pirate it. Otherwise, just don't play it. Like, it's not going to be that good. Like, technically
It
speaking,
doesn't even look that good, yeah.
on a technical level, I'm sure it'll be fine, but like,
I mean, no one's talking about the fact that the story of that game is literally that an oppressed minority, wants equality, and that makes them the bad guys.
yeah.
And also, that oppressed minority is anti-Semitic. Is an anti-Semitic caricature.
Mm-hmm.
That's just what the core of the game is, but I've met plenty of people who are just like, but I love Harry Potter though. It's like a magical part of my childhood, or like a magical part of my life, and I'm just like,
I mean, that's the
this is
thing.
why
The more you
schools should
actually
teach critical consumption.
Yeah. The more you actually think about Harry Potter, and we've done a like over 3-hour podcast on this. The more you think about Harry Potter, the worse it gets.
Mm-hmm.
And like, it just isn't a very good series. There are good elements of it, and that is why, you know, there are actually some quite good fan fictions out there for it, but the actual work itself is not
Harry
good.
Potter is like Skyrim.
You need to
in that
mod it
there
to
is
fucking
no-
back.
No, and also, there is no real valid reason for it to be as popular as it is. There is no empirical reason that either of those series should have the user base that they do. It is incomprehensible.
Yeah.
But anyway, how about that latest One Piece chapter, huh?
Oh, open the can of clones.
Also, I can understand why Whitebeard would tap that.
If he did in fact
we were
tap
all
it.
thinking it.
If he did in fact tap it. We don't
If
know.
he did, I can understand why.
Look, I'm still 50-50 on Weevil actually being his bio son and just being a failed clone.
Yeah, Weevil is probably a clone now that the clone can has been opened. Honestly, the clone can of worms has been implied for a while.
Yeah.
Oh, it has. Oda's done a good job setting it up.
But also, it also confirmed the theory that the Kuma's whole ego death situation was a lot more hopeful than it seemed.
Hmm.
Like, people have been, like, speculating that maybe Vegapunk was... How do you guys feel about Vegapunk?
Vegapunk is an interesting character, honestly. Like,
Also, the
I
fact
really...
that he's... I mean, does Vegapunk count as, like, gender fluid or non-binary?
Hard to say.
I think he should, considering the fact that of his, created... Oh, 1 second, I gotta take this.
Ethically speaking, he's one of the more, like, he's one of the better scientists that we've met, but that's not saying a huge amount when, you know, the,
Oh no, he is absolutely morally incredibly gray.
But, but, like...
Gray edging towards evil.
Yeah.
Because, like, here's the thing. Vegapunk is the closest in the series we've come to a true neutral character.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Because, like... It feels like science is the most important thing to him, and while his goal with science is admirable, he very much strikes me as an end justifies the mean kind of guy.
Yeah.
And I feel that if the world government had not betrayed him first, he would have been perfectly content being on their side for the rest of his life.
Well, it's because he needs the funds, Fuzzy.
Yeah.
He needs the funds.
Yes, it is much easier to be a scientist when you're government funded. And also when the government looks the other way in terms of your ethics and morality. Yeah, it's just one of those things where I really don't know how I feel about Vegapunk as a person, but like, I
He
feel like
is
it says
kind of
something that
fascinating, honestly.
it says something. I feel that 3 out of the 6 parts of his personality that he split off are female.
That is interesting, yeah.
It's interesting, isn't it? It's like an almost perfectly even. Well, actually, no. Because like the ones that identify as male aren't even like human, right? At least Shaka seems the most human-like, but even we don't know what he looks like under the mask. And the other two are just actual robots.
Honestly, One Piece has a very strange relationship with gender overall.
Yeah, it's like it makes you wonder because it's probably it both it has the most. Even the Okama are an affectionate parody rather than something to be made fun of.
Yeah.
Right? And the Okama are the closest Oda comes to like an outright offensive something.
Mm.
But like even then they're like very firmly the good guys.
Yeah.
Yes.
And like very firmly are no one people who dislike the only person who you know what? It's occurred to me that the only person in the series who actively dislikes the Okama for their way of life is Sanji.
I wonder what Sanji's relationship with his gender is.
I mean, considering the fact, I feel like a lot of it might be armored closet syndrome,
Oh, I would not be shocked.
right? Because like he was pretty happily embraced that lifestyle.
For all of, like, 3 days, yeah.
For
Yeah,
the
like,
entirety of the like Impel Down arc and Amazon Lily and stuff, yes, ever since they got separated, he did embrace the lifestyle.
it took him a second, but he did.
I feel like Sanji's repressing a lot of things.
That was pretty obvious from the beginning, but it became more obvious after Whole Cake.
You know what? Considering the fact that there is, in fact, at least one character who canonically has a harem, and it's Big Mom. You think Zoro's gonna end up going the harem route at the end?
No.
Probably not. He's too focused on being a sword boy.
No, but like once he becomes the world's greatest sword boy, then because that's inevitable at this point. Then what?
He keeps being a sword boy.
He keeps being a sword boy, but like at that point he's probably gonna settle down.
I don't know. I really don't know.
It
The
has
thing with
like
Oda is that he's very big on the romanticism of adventure and pursuing your dream.
you know it's funny, but all of the older characters, he makes a point that the pursuit of the romance in the in the adventure sense is a young man's game, and most of his characters do settle down and then become badasses when they're old.
True.
Right?
Except
'Cause,
Whitebeard
like,
didn't really settle down per se, and neither did some of the other older characters.
No, but he did settle down in the sense that he wasn't just about the adventure. He like no, to be no. Here's the thing. Whitebeard's goal from day one was not adventure.
Hmm.
It was
His goal
family.
was family.
His goal was family from the beginning. Whitebeard
He
is
went
kind
to
of like
Dominic
sidesteps the
Toretto
issue.
school of life goals.
Yeah, no, he's like Dom would absolutely call Whitebeard dad if it was in
He'd probably call him Pops or something.
Oh yes, but you know what I mean. He would absolutely be one of Whitebeard's sons if he was born in that
What do you call him,
sort
Daddy?
of scenario.
Yeah.
What do you call
Was
him,
that
Daddy?
No,
No.
don't taint. Do not taint Edward Newgate's legacy like that.
Far, far too
Honestly,
late,
I don't
Fuzzy.
think. You've seen that meme. You've seen that meme.
Just because I've seen it doesn't mean I want to accept it.
Fair enough.
But also, Whitebeard is probably like one of, if not the best anime dads in history, in the
Yeah.
history of shonen manga.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. He even forgives one of his kids for stabbing him.
To be fair, it's not like stabbing him does much.
Mm.
Well,
True.
it's not like stabbing him once does much.
I love that you had to clarify that.
Yes, look, you remember the injury report.
I remember.
Yeah, but no, but like it is like look at Garp. He was absolutely a hell beast who looked identical to Luffy in his youth. He did have a kid though.
Yep.
And like
Mhm.
presumably at least based on his relationship with Luffy and Ace, I do think he tried to be a dad.
He tried, but he was terrible at it.
Oh no! Here's the thing. We don't know what Dragon and Garp's relationship is like. We know clearly that being on opposite sides does not necessarily mean their relationship is bad, right? Like, Garp still
Oh no, I
has
meant more of Garp being a terrible dad when it comes to parenting Ace and Luffy.
He did love them, and also, without his unique brand of parenting, they would have died a lot sooner.
Mm.
Okay, that's possible, yes.
Because, like, remember, they do live in a crapsack world.
Mm.
Or it might border on crapsackarine, but, like, they do live in a world where if you're not sufficiently strong, you will just die.
Mm.
Mm.
So it makes, in that sense, I know, like, there's the whole debate on, like, you know, we do not condone child abuse, but
I
something,
find it
something.
hilarious.
Yes, it's like, I know there's a debate where is it morally dubious for Garp to throw his 5-year-old grandchild into the woods to survive. The thing is, I'm sure he was close by, right? I'm sure he would have, like, intervened, and probably did intervene in cases where death was assured. But, like, if he hadn't, then just given the personality of his family and the dynamics therein, they would die so much sooner.
Mm.
So, like, it might be more ethical for him to have put them through that training for hell than not. Because then they'd be killed by the first dick who decides to wave their
Dick around.
ego dick around. Yes, I didn't want to be redundant, but, like, I didn't choose insults well. So yeah, I do think that he made it clear. You should remember he made it clear that he loved them, and he was not like exactly starve them for affection, right? Because he like did give them a lot of affection, even when they didn't want it. It's just that
His
without
punch
that,
of love.
yes, without the training from hell, they just would be dead. Especially considering that's probably plays a large part of how Luffy got so good with his fruit.
Mm.
Right?
Mhm.
Because, like, without Garp's training, he wouldn't have the strength or the stamina and endurance and perseverance to actually go through the training to make his fruit viable.
Hmm. That's an interesting take. I hadn't considered that.
It's like when you have to always remember to apply the context of a world when you're making a moral argument. This is one of the most frustrating things about isekai that I see. There's a lot of reasons I dislike isekai, but I think the most frustrating thing is the complete, even in the good isekai, can sometimes fall victim to just like not considering the context. Like there's a story that I started reading recently that I stopped because of that reason. And there's actually another story that I really enjoyed because it did it well, where in the story that did it well, the character regained... It wasn't a transmigration story. It's interesting in that it was a straight up mechanic of the world is that when you reach a certain, it's a genre novel, and when you reach the rank of Soul Emperor, you naturally recall the memory of your past lives.
Nope.
So the dude was already an established person in the world for 200 years, but then it turned out that his past life was a dude from Earth. And then he kind of like, the goal is to kind of try and apply the good parts of Earth culture and morality, while he acknowledges multiple times in the series that his world, the world he is in now, his world is just different in certain fundamental ways that make not all of those things viable, and that make a one-to-one translation not viable.
Mm.
And he works around that rather than trying to bullishly, like, use only one or the other. Which made it much more interesting to me personally. And then the other story, which I dropped, is where the protagonist is just very naively, and like, it's idiot ball levels of applying Earth logic to the new world, where he's like, I'm not gonna cultivate, I'm just gonna do like magical research stuff and like alchemy and stuff. And he's just very much not realizing that without either strength or backing, he is literally nothing more than a slave to the people in power, who literally are godlike beings.
See, I don't inherently have a problem with that if it's like part of the story that there is a clash of values and the person from a different setting is trying to apply their values to no avail. I have an issue with it when the story bends over backwards to validate the person
Yes,
who is
that's also
trying
an
to
issue.
enforce his values.
Either
Or her
validates
values.
them, or even going one step back from that, if they don't face the logical consequences
Yes.
of being
Or going one
inflexible
step
with their
further
values.
from that, the story goes out of its way to enforce that person's will and make everything go in their favor.
Yeah, where it's like, yeah, but yeah, I feel like it's the one step back example is the story I was reading, but I dropped it anyway. But it's just like, the main character is just like, well, I want to innovate, but he doesn't realize that without a certain foundation of strength, if he stands out as a genius without that foundation of strength, he is literally going to be enslaved. I'm guessing, based on the tone of the story in general, that's not going to happen. Like, he's not going to have to face any of the logical consequences of his actions, and it just, like, that was enough for me to bounce.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, Isekai
going back to the
Okay, go ahead.
on the flip side of what you're saying, I also have an issue when the characters in the isekai and whatever just immediately fall back on the values of the world, even when they are like when they should find those values reprehensible and not like
Yes,
automatically vibe with
when
them.
they adapt way too quickly. A lot of the time, though,
Yeah.
it is hand-waved by saying that's just a magical thing that whatever deity is presiding over the reincarnation or transmigration just does, so that they literally can't, like, they become literally incapable of panicking, because if they panic, they die.
No, my issue is shit like whenever there's an isekai and the hero's default reaction is, "Oh, I'm gonna buy slaves," because that's a normal person thing to do.
We don't talk about those series, sadly, because if we do,
really shouldn't. Yes.
No, the reason I say sadly is because if we do, people come out of the woodwork to defend it. And
Yeah,
that's
I don't
just
get
not
that.
okay.
Why do people defend that shit? I don't understand. Like, they don't even make for good stories. 9 times out of 10, they're just...
Well, a lot of people would say they are great stories because they don't like to think critically about media.
I mean, honestly, I'm like, I don't even care if they do watch it. It is just the defending part. Like,
Yes.
Yeah,
look,
no.
watch
You
it
are
if you
fine to...
watch
You're
it. If,
allowed to have your junk food. Just
Yeah.
don't, like, go...
Yeah, don't pretend the junk food is good for you.
yeah.
Yes, exactly. If you're chowing down hamburgers and French fries at every meal, don't say, "Oh, it's fine because I order a Diet Coke."
That is the most prevalent example of it, isn't it?
Yes. But yeah.
Yes, go ahead.
But that's basically what I'm saying. Like, they're like, "Oh, yeah, sure, this guy practiced slavery and he's a total dickhead, but at least he's nice to his slaves." It's, no, fuck you, no. That doesn't make it better. He still owns people.
Yeah, like, I can accept it in the situations where they're buying the slaves solely for the purpose of freeing them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if the only way to make someone a free citizen is to buy them and then for the owner to free them, and if they do it for that purpose, I can understand that you can take those measures before you've reached a point where you're powerful enough to change society as a whole. I can understand sort of like taking those.
The logic is sound here.
Yes. The problem is when it's like they keep the slave collar on, but are like, "But I'll be nice to you, though." But like, that's not the point. That is not. That's not how
that is
not
so
how
far missing the point. That is so far missing the point. It's like you're aiming for something in front of you and you're hitting something behind you.
Yeah, there were plenty of like nice slave owners, I'm sure. That doesn't mean the slaves wouldn't choose freedom like every single time.
Yep.
I wonder how many like slave owners were like, oh, if given the choice, I'm a nice slave owner, so I'm sure my slaves will want to stay, and like ask them, and they were instantly like, nope, we want to be free.
Yeah,
Oh.
Sure, that was again like probably that happened a lot in the American Civil War. Yeah, it's one of those things where, and that's how I like to when you're thinking critically, part of thinking critically about media is knowing when and how to apply context situation. And I feel that that was a good case study is Garp's treatment of his grandchildren. Because, like, yes, that is absolutely something that in our world would be considered acts of abuse and neglect.
Yep.
At a minimum. But when you live in a world where not only are there superhumans, but anyone can become a superhuman by putting in enough effort, then if you want your loved ones to survive, you are sure as hell gonna, like, make them put in 120% of the effort from early on, just so they can make something of themselves in the world.
I mean, that's the thing. Garp will have known 100%, like, the dangers facing Ace and Luffy. You know, Ace
especially, and well, no, actually, yeah, no, both Ace and Luffy, because you know their dads are not exactly the most legally friendly men in the world.
I mean, just from a case of Oblivion died.
Whoops.
Oh dear, is the stream still on?
Stream's still going. Oblivion just died.
I mean, we're close to the end anyway.
Yeah.
So you can just like put a placeholder image on.
Yeah, let's finish the thought. But yeah.
Yes, I think.
But yeah, I mean, even not just because of their fathers, but also because Garp's their granddad. Like, there's a lot. There's gonna be a lot of people who have hard feelings towards Garp.
Yeah, actually, now that I think about it, even if Luffy and Ace had obediently become Marines, same shit, different side.
Yeah.
Right? The people who were trying to kill them would just be well, I mean, they both had pirates trying to kill them, but they also had pirate allies.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas I'm sure they'd have Marines and pirates alike trying to kill them, but like they'd have Marine allies. It's a very complicated dynamic in that world.
It's interesting too. Like,
Also, we
like,
got one
I
of
do,
the.
I do like that Oda doesn't like make it such that all pirates are good and all Marines are evil, but he actually, takes the time to show that hey, there are people in every faction that are good and evil. That it's not like a clean what black and white conflict. There's a lot of gray in there.
Or
The
rather,
Straw Hats
the
are
idea that
unusual in being
regardless of
good
before you're a
pirates.
pirate or a Marine, you're a person,
Yes.
right? How you are the point of the series is that how you are as a human, who you are as a human being, is far more important than what faction you're a part of.
Exactly.
So yeah, I personally don't think, because like not only was it coming from a place of love, but also it was coming from a place of practicality.
Hmm.
Right? Like, it's better to suffer early than die young. Or at least younger than they otherwise would.
I suppose on a depth world like the world of One Piece, that would make a lot of sense.
Yeah, literally all it takes is one world noble passing by. Not even a world noble, just a regular old ass noble passing by. And if you're not strong enough, you will just die.
Well, I mean, look at what happened with Luffy in Romance Dawn. Like, he nearly fucking died to some shitty little bandit.
Sabo too.
Really fucking hilarious in hindsight because even at the time, Shanks had like a 1 billion berry bounty or some shit like that. And this no-name bandit is just picking on him, not realizing that Shanks is ludicrously powerful.
Mm-hmm.
It's just so funny seeing Higama just hold up his bounty poster as like a measly, like a fraction of Shanks' bounty.
I still feel that the biggest unresolved plot hole in One Piece is Shanks lost an arm.
He did it so he could become stronger than you could ever imagine.
That is the meme answer. And I wouldn't be surprised if that eventually becomes canon. But until it is canon, I am still that's the only real plot hole in One Piece, unless the meme becomes canon.
I mean, it's still my favorite theory that not even that Shanks did it on purpose, but he just lost the arm, became stronger, was like, people losing arms makes them stronger. And he just goes around cutting the arms off random pirates, thinking he's making them stronger.
To be fair, Kid did get stronger after losing an arm.
Yeah, exactly. It works. Seriously, if Bartolomeo turns up missing an arm, I'm considering it confirmed.
But yeah,
oh my God.
Like seriously though, we've seen that after a certain level, people without any hockey or anything, after they are strong enough, just are bulletproof and like sea monster proof.
Mm-hmm.
Like Rayleigh, as an old ass man with zero hockey, is capable of like shrugging off sea kings in the Calm Belt.
Well, he probably was able to use hockey. He doesn't need to.
He was able to, but he didn't need to. Is the thing. And then, even if assuming that Sea Kings are like have some sort of natural hockey bullshit going on with them, even then, just a little armament, and I'm pretty sure a puny little East Blue Sea King would have broken its teeth on his arm with even basic level armament.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like, but why? Or he could have used Conquerors earlier, right?
Yep.
He could have used Conquerors before he even hit the water. We know he's got enough range to affect the entirety of, like, Marineford, and that's only a few years later.
You know what's funny? Regarding the most recent chapter of One Piece, you know what's hilarious is people are making a huge fucking deal because an old dude left his house. I know the actual
So,
significance
okay.
of the old dude and the reveal of his
Okay.
name. I just
I
find it
would
absolutely
like to-
hilarious when you take it out of context.
Okay. I do want to apply one piece of context, though.
It's just hilarious without context.
Yes, but we do have to remember, One Piece has consistently been a world where either ass-kicking equals authority, or authority equals ass-kicking.
Yes.
Right?
The only exceptions we've seen so far are the majority of celestial dragons
no.
and Spandom.
Here's my theory with the Celestial Dragons. Is that the Celestial Dragons are an entire inbred bloodline clan thing of buggies. Because remember, we have actually seen what a Celestial Dragon who actively trains and becomes a fighter looks like. And Doffy required Gear 4th and a lot of co-op to beat. Right?
Yep.
So I feel like a lot of it is just them not trying rather than them not having the ability. And based on the fact that I'm pretty sure the Gandhi lookalike has the Shodai Kitetsu, which is
I am
the
100% certain that it's the Shodai.
yes, which is and I'm pretty sure, considering that entire line of swords is cursed and requires a very competent swordsman, I'm pretty sure the 5 elders, at the very least, are capable fighters.
Oh, 100%.
Oh,
100%.
absolutely.
I'm pretty sure, and like they're all pretty buff. Like it's pretty obvious that even the guy who left, the old guy who left his house, is jacked. That's not fat.
Yeah.
Given his body shape and size, that he is absolutely jacked. So I would not be surprised if all 5 of them are just ripped.
Out of curiosity, do you think that had Sengoku been more, world, Celestial Dragon friendly and, more, on that side of things than he is?
More of a dick, you mean?
Yeah, more of a dick. Would he have been invited into the 5 Elders?
I think
No, that requires bloodline.
I think
I'm
it's
pretty sure
requisite for an elder to be a celestial dragon.
Yes.
Okay.
Because he is a saint. They did put saint in front of the old guy's name, so I'm pretty sure they are just members of the Celestial Dragons. What I do think is that he probably would have become Commander-in-Chief rather than just Fleet Admiral.
Yeah.
If he was more elders friendly.
Yes.
But yeah, no, if Sengoku had been more active during the Battle of Marineford, that, depending on whose side he was on, it would have tilted hard. Right? If I think Garp and Sengoku could have held off Whitebeard.
Well, the point is that Garp had to be held down to stop, to be stopped
Him from killing a Kainu. Yes.
Killing a Kainu, and you don't do that. It is very much implied that Garp would have done it. It's not. He wasn't being held back for his safety. He was being held back for a Kainu's safety.
Yes.
Because a Kainu would have absolutely fucking died.
Yeah.
No, Garp is very much still... the oldies, Garp and Rayleigh particularly, they've said that they're old, but that doesn't mean, basically...
Well, the point is, in a world like that, you fear the guys who actually make it to that age in their professions.
Yes, and also, they freely admitted that they're not as strong because they're older. Their strength has declined, but that doesn't mean they can't, give up their lives to bring out their original strength.
Well, it's the Osriel thing from Cradle. Did they say I was weak?
No.
Weaker.
I should have said weaker.
Weaker.
Yes, and it's probably the reason why Rayleigh was able to make Blackbeard retreat. It's not because Rayleigh is necessarily as strong as he was at his peak, but I'm pretty sure that if they actually fought to the death, the best case scenario for Blackbeard would be dying together with Rayleigh.
Mm.
Right?
Mm.
I'm pretty sure if one of the oldies really decided to do it, like what Whitebeard did, if they really decided to, they could pull a "I'm going to die, but I will take you all down with me."
Yeah. And in terms of the oldies dying, I'm still saying Garp's gonna be killed by him just to really, like, establish them.
I feel
I
that
would not
be
be
a
shocked.
waste. I think Sengoku is more likely to be
I
killed in that
It
fashion.
could be both.
I don't think Im could take both, honestly. Like, the thing about Im, from what I can tell, his big thing is Uranus, if you know what I'm saying.
Ha.
Oh my.
He has the power to fart people to death, but I don't think he has anything else
Hmm.
going for him, like, beyond the standard power level that comes with being a person on the empty throne.
Mm.
Right? Like, I'm pretty sure the emperors and the admirals and people of their level would not be considered world powers if they were that easy to kill.
Mm.
Right? I don't think anyone can expect to take any of these people down one-on-one. Unless you're at... Or rather, you can at best defeat them one-on-one.
Hmm.
Right? Because Big
Yeah.
Mom, it took her being double teamed by two strapping young men.
Oh my.
Oh my.
Uh, yeah, no.
Kaido was a fucking marathon boss.
Hmm.
Yeah, Kaido took like 6-second wins and a lot of double teaming as well. Because remember, he
Kaido,
had
I
to be...
believe, fought
Hmm?
16 straight opponents,
Yes. And he
including
got
like
injured
3 or
by
4
several
rounds
of
with
them.
Luffy. Yeah.
Yeah, no, the final round was at Luffy. Remember, Zoro straight up could reasonably have taken him down if it was one-on-one.
Hmm.
Possibly. I believe that, because I'm pretty sure once he figured out... once Zoro figures out that he has Conquerors consciously, I'm pretty sure it's just over. I'm pretty sure
Well,
that's...
he did figure it out during his fight with King.
Well, yes, no, but once he starts consciously using it, I'm pretty sure that's like that has been the last hurdle separating him from Mihawk.
Hmm.
There's no way Mihawk doesn't have Conquerors.
Hmm.
We've established that at the high level, if you don't have Conquerors, you just don't win.
Yeah.
Hmm. I would not be shocked.
Oh, Garp's probably got it, because, like, that's the only way he could reasonably fight evenly against
Roger.
Roger and Whitebeard.
And probably Rocks.
And Rocks, obviously, yeah. But, like, yeah, no, the fact that Rogers and Whitebeard were evenly matched because they both had Conquerors implies that Garp has to have it.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, thank you everyone for joining us on today's mixture of Oblivion, Dreams, recent history, and One Piece. I hope
More military history than recent history, but yeah.
yes, military history, and I hope it was as fun for you as it was for us. Because like it's just nice. Because like it's
fun to shoot the shit.
Adulting is hard, and it is nice to just have a couple of friends you can chat with.
Yeah.
It is.
In a safe, judgment-free space where you can just like chat and have fun.
Mm-hmm.
Right? That's something that I think too many people don't understand the value of in adult life, just being able to have friends. Friendship is a sorely
Friendship is a precious
undervalued
thing.
It's a precious thing, and it's sorely undervalued, I feel.
Mm.
Yes, thank you for joining us. Mel, go on.
Again, thank you for watching and probably just listening more than anything else. But Because what was happening on the screen was not really that important. I was just going
It
around.
was not relevant.
I was
no.
just dicking about, pretty much. I got lost for a good, like, 20 minutes in a dungeon. In terms of future stuff, Thursday will be something or other. We'll see what it is. Really can't, like, predict what we'll feel like doing on Tuesdays and Thursdays at this point. So just, it'll probably be involve us talking over something, maybe a game, maybe we'll do a tier list. Who knows?
We did have several suggestions for tier lists that we're going to probably go over off stream. So
Saturday is the Paradox Hour. We'll be doing the roast of Naruto. That's going to be a big one.
I know Fuzzy's really happy for that one. Really excited, I bet.
I do enjoy the idea of just absolutely blasting Nart to pieces.
Yeah. Sunday we'll be continuing D&D. We are now at Pahala. Ready to
Wait,
take on...
I thought Sunday.
No,
we
we're
weren't,
not. We're
Dave.
not. Are we? We're not. Oh yeah, because Dylan's not available because he's the
Yeah.
Chaos Gremlin. Then
We'll think of something.
yeah, we'll think of something. I'm sure we've got games we can play. We've still got Dragon Age 2 to finish. Then Tuesday, yeah, whoever ends up being available will depend on what we do, but we'll do something. Really can't predict it, honestly. So the only thing we can predict, Roast of Naruto, Paradox Hour, that'll be great. Otherwise, again, thank you for watching.
So cathartic.
Thank you for watching. Please do give us a follow here on Twitch and on Twitter at storytime_net. And otherwise, tune in on Thursday for whatever it is we end up doing. Good night.
Bye-bye.
Later.